Okay, so I've decided to take the bait. We're gonna listen to what John has to say about BLM, fair use, and if you would like to support this channel, there are various links in the description as well as a pinned comment below.
Hey everyone, my name is John Venus. I am extremely passionate about this topic, and I want you guys to listen to the whole video before jumping to conclusions without, resorting to calling me names and, judging. This is one of the biggest issues of the world today. People judging, attacking each other without context, without listening to what the other person is saying. I had to take down a YouTube video that I uploaded exactly 1 hour ago here on YouTube because of extreme messages and hate messages from people who are actually racist and people who think that I'm a racist. So the both sides of the extreme. The title of the video was "Do Black Lives..."
Oh, I thought this might be disappointing, but, sounds like John is getting us ready for something controversial that he's about to say. So this might actually be worthwhile and interesting. Let's see.
Matter, question mark, and is racism real, question mark. Maybe people got upset that I'm questioning whether or not that's real. But again, if you watch the video, it is clear what my position is, and I'll get into my position in a second.
I had addressed this in another video. The reason why I was skeptical about his video being of any value, and I guess we have yet to find out if it is or isn't, is the thumbnail where he is burning the Confederate flag, right? When in reality what BLM is doing is not destroying an America that no longer exists, but the current one.
But this is so toxic in today's world, and I understand people are frustrated. People have been locked down because of the virus. People, are losing their jobs. They're in horrible positions. They're emotional.
People have not been locked down because of the virus. They've been locked down because of their tyrannical government. Okay? So, John, you have a lot of growing to do still.
We're all emotional right now. The world is going through a lot of things. But we have to remember to keep our emotions intact and try to reserve judgments until you feel like it's appropriate to put those judgments on other people.
I'm not emotional. Speak for yourself.
Right? You have to listen. You can't just judge black people because you believe something without, actually looking into the history and the story and why everything is how it is. You can't hate on white people without understanding, the context behind their lives and why they are the way they are. And racism is not a natural state of being. It's a negative, hateful state of being that is taught through many, many different aspects and many, even, outside sources that we don't even understand today because it's been so long since this whole thing started.
It's just an opinion. I'll allow it. My view would be different on that. I would say civilization is what roots out our national or natural tendency toward, I guess what you could call racism, even though that's a whole different conversation I don't want to get into.
So I just want to talk about this right now and just put my thoughts out there authentically and get to the point. Racism is unnecessary. It's bad. It's a negative thing. It should not exist. All humans are created equal. We're all exactly the same. It doesn't matter, if you have a belief that that is not the case, because
we're all exactly the same. I mean, come on, man. In a sense, yeah, fundamentally, maybe. We're not all the same. I try to tell you this guy's a Marxist. He just doesn't even know it. We're not all the same.
When you look at biology, when you look at psychology, when you look at, everything that makes a human a human.
Okay, so biology, right? We're all the same, says this guy. But then he says, well, the vegan diet is perfect for some people, but not everybody. But we're all the same, right? John, you really need to, use your noggin, homie. You really need to stop and think critically about the things that come out of your damn mouth. If, that is, you think you have something of value to contribute rather than just blather.
There is no difference. There is no difference. And if you think that a black person or, a Asian person or a Latino person or whatever races, I don't even believe in categorizing humans in different races at all. I think it's unhelpful. But if you think that those people are different to you just because of their color, then you really have to do some deep digging and read history, read about the colonial aspect of things, how people from Europe, white people invading Africa and other parts of the world and taking their resources.
Do you think John reads history?
And enslaving people, how that has translated into racism and segregation, all these things that have happened and are still happening to this day. It's not something that we should ignore at all. Right now is the time to really focus on things. And
Says a guy who was enslaved for months by his own tyrannical government of the same skin color, right?
My main mission and main kind of motivation to make this video is because I think that it's such an important topic that we cannot let it slip by. We cannot allow this moment to slip by at all, because this is about human compassion. It's not about Antifa this, Donald Trump this, Bill Gates this. This is about real human compassion and standing up for injustice and standing together and supporting our black brothers and sisters and doing what's right. And I want to make this video to let you guys know that this has happened many times in the past, but we seem to let it slip by. And I don't want it to happen to this, because racism is something that we in 2020 should be able to overcome with ease. If we just keep going with laser focus until this issue is resolved, we can make it happen. But if we...
Zero evidence, zero proof, zero anything of any sort of racism. Now, yeah, however you define that, right? Yeah, sure, it does exist. We're all aware that it does. But, you know, we're talking about a very specific moment in time where, without any proof, we're just going to assume that the cop did what he did because he's racist. Like, where's the evidence, right? I mean, John, if you want to contribute something valuable, before you open your mouth, why don't you, like, actually think about what it is that you're about to say, instead of just feeling, right? And saying how you feel. Why don't you actually think about what it is that you're saying?
Let our minds get distracted and focus on the million different things that we could be focusing on, and kind of let the racism issue and Black Lives...
Focus, right? Focus on a million different things. To bring things into focus, Johnny boy, is to isolate, yeah? Focus. Let's focus on a million different things, right? Just like this is a product of this oppression. I'll just keep saying Marxist because it sounds good. It means more, if only on a visceral level, to a lot of people. School system, right? They put so much junk into your head that you will never, ever, ever be able to use or have any need for, right? Because they want you to focus.
matter issue go to the side, or let other things become more important, then the progress will be lost. And this is why I want people to understand that
progress, right? Progressive. Marxist.
The media, whether they're talking about the virus or they're talking about potential conflicts and wars, the media is what is motivating people to focus on different things. And I don't want people to forget about this just because the media is going to cover something else and something else is going to become seemingly more important. I think that this is something that we have to see through. Now is the time, now is the opportunity we have to see this through and end inequality in the West. Now, when we're talking about Africa and other third world countries, we have even more work to do.
Where's the evidence of this inequality? Where is it? Because not even BLM can provide any evidence. Where's the evidence?
And let's not forget that they are they're victims as well. Black people have been victims in the Western world and so unfairly treated for so long, and I'm so happy that this is happening, but let's all...
Black people are put on a pedestal in the Western world, right? They're giving a lot of privileges that, at least when it comes to speech, that a lot of other people just, you can't say, right? Black people can say certain things that white people, as soon as they say something along those lines, they get attacked for it. Are black people being marginalized in other ways? Sure, but it's just like the conflict between men and women. The leftist, Marxist media, they focus on that which is hurting any particular group at any particular moment, just to set everybody against everybody in a perpetual, non-ending struggle. That's the essence of Marxism. The playing the role of an eternal savior, right? Destroying religion and becoming the savior. And the only way they could become a savior is by making everybody a victim. And sure, you could find ways in which certain groups are not treated the same that other groups, where other groups are given, afforded certain benefits that these other groups are not. But it's equal. In that respect, we're all equally oppressed by the system, because this is the point of the Marxist system. Destroy culture, create perpetual victims, and play the role of, well, Jesus Christ, the Savior, the Messiah, right?
Also remember our black brothers and sisters and all other people of all races in third world countries where our system and our industry is corrupting and taking advantage of them and taking the resources away for, an unfair life in return for these people,
That you benefit from in the Western world, right? I know John spends some of his time in the United States, right? The country that holds the world's currency, right? And prints it ad libitum. Just creates money out of nothing, right? And then sends that money to China, where all these slaves, this is just one example, right? Where all these slaves produce all these goods that John owns, right? Now, yes, there's a middleman there that's skimming, that's making the most money, and that is the government, wherever, or the corporations, same thing, right? Wherever John may be at that point in time in the world. But, he's also able to buy these products very, very cheaply. And the sort of work, blood, sweat, and tears that his brothers and sisters put into that stuff to produce those things is not commensurate with the amount of work that John has to put in to get the money to buy those things, right? So John can, let's say, burn, to make it very simple, and since we are talking about, I did step into the diet sphere a little bit. Let's talk about calories, right? John, let's say, by burning 100 calories at work, can produce the type of money where he could buy 40,000 calories from a Chinese person, basically, because that's how much work they put into the products that John is able to buy with the money that he produced with his calories, right? John, who runs a channel that promotes consumerism, right? Promotes consuming, if we're only talking about food, more calories than you need, right? John is a direct result of this system, and not only is he a product of the system, he's someone who keeps this system going, right? What do you produce, John? What do you produce? For years, and you just, I don't know if, you came out and humbled yourself for the evils, right? If this is how you're going to present the situation, then you have to take your responsibility in it. But have you apologized to the people for destroying their health by promoting a diet that's not healthy? Or did you excuse that by saying, well, it's going to work for some people and not others because we're all the same? Like, John, you're a direct beneficiary and the creator of the exact system which you seem to have a problem with. This is why you need to keep growing, right? Not on YouTube as an influencer, but as a person. Will you? Probably not. Okay? Will you lose a lot of that unnecessary weight that's just destroying your health in the long term? That's making you consume all these calories that are contributing to causing all this evil in the world? Will you ever do that? Right? Why can't you just be normal? Why do you have to be, 40 pounds overweight or whatever it is? Why? Do you really need that? For what? To look pretty? It's not like you're working in the field using that strength to build the pyramids, right? No, you're not the slave in this equation, are you? You're the benefactor of slavery, dude. The only reason why you have all this leisure time to pick shit up and put it down, the only reason why you have the money to consume more than your quote-unquote fair share, is because you're a direct beneficiary of this corrupt system that you seem to have a problem with. And then you call these people your brothers and sisters when you treat them like shit. Hilarious.
A lot of these people are earning less than $1 a day for our convenience. And we seem to forget that. And it's not to take away from what's happening in the West.
Oh. All right. Good going, John. Keep with that thought. Don't just ignore it, but You seem to be identifying the problem, propose the solutions, make your course of action follow from these premises, right? You're identifying the problem. What's the solution?
I think we should definitely focus on this here in the US, in Europe, right now, to resolve it right now so we can apply the same compassion and the same understanding of justice and equality to the rest of the third world and all other countries and get rid of the system that seeks to take advantage and deplete resources that we don't even own ourselves. So I just want to...
Snap. Like, he's getting it. That's awesome.
You know, to let you guys know that I'm 100% in support of black people, always have been. I've never had a single racist thought in my head. I've never been a person to stay silent when I see injustice. I'm not going to stop fighting for what I believe is right. And whether you choose to fight for it on social media and fight for it on, with street activism, it's up to you. But
fight for it. Okay. So he doesn't understand what the solution is, right? He thinks people going out in the street destroying things is fighting for something, right? How are you going to fight for it? By saying using all these lofty terms, feel good words? That's you consider that fighting for it?
Be thoughtful about this. Let's not allow people to be pushed further away by our tactics and voices. Let's not use hateful voices. Let's not use hateful words and violence to bring this to people's attention. I understand that we're all frustrated, especially the black people and people who are underserved in our society are frustrated, but we have to approach it in a way that is guaranteed change this time. We have to be smart about it, and we have to keep the conversation ongoing and not get distracted.
Also, this is just talking, right? That's all. John's solutions are just talking, not doing, talking.
And this brings me to, a question that you have to ask yourself. If you're a white person, if you're a person, or even a black person who is better off than other black people, really ask yourself, are you willing to sacrifice your own wealth? Are you willing to give more than you have to other people who are in more need than you are? How many people who are protesting, who are posting these black pictures, black screen pictures on Instagram, how many of these people are actually willing to sacrifice their own well-being, their own liberties, and their own income and money and wealth to help someone who is in a lot more need, who's been unjustly treated? I personally think that a lot of people are just doing it for Instagram likes, who are trying to come across as, social justice warriors. But when it comes down to it, they don't really, take the actions that are actually representative of, the message that they're putting out there. We have to understand that everything is interconnected. We are all involved in this. All the people who are watching this video, who are blessed enough to have technology and money to have a computer or iPhone to watch this video on and an internet connection, is much better off than the vast majority of the population right now. And we have so much work to do. And I hope that this movement can shine a light on the inequalities that is happening and actually fix it this time, so we can apply the same thing to the rest of the world and get rid of our materialistic mindset. And I don't blame anyone for this whole situation. I don't blame anyone for, I don't even blame people who are racist a lot of times, because...
Well, it seems like John is on the right track, talking about materialism, right? But is he actually going to do something about that? Or is he just talking?
They were taught that. I do blame people for, educating themselves and still being stubborn enough to actually be a racist. I do judge those people because it's not right, it's wrong, and there had to be consequences. But it's not a wise decision to attack those people as monsters, because as we know, by studying psychology, if you push people away, if you use hate against hate, it doesn't get any better. And I don't blame anyone who is, standing up for, all the black people and every race and equality, but not applying similar ethics to other, aspects of life, whether it's where you're buying your clothes from, whether it's looking into how our iPhones are produced, where the raw materials are coming from, and how, the world is just messed up because of the system that we have in place right now.
What is he talking about? Changing your consumerist tactics? Buying a different label? Right? All these companies that just say, oh, this is fair trade, this was sustainably produced, all that is just lies, BS, okay? It's still consumption. It's actually worse. The whole green revolution, I mean, I remember living in San Francisco and them having these green conventions, right, where you could go and buy all these like sustainably produced green energy saving products and all this other stuff. All that was just an advertisement for a different product that cost a lot more. It's not any different. It's still consumerism. Buying stuff you don't need.
I don't blame anyone because that is the world we live in. And until we have a solution, an alternative solution to follow, then we can't expect everyone to change and become perfect human beings like that. Not that perfection even exists, but I do believe in self-development and most of all, compassion over everything. Love should lead the way always.
Self-development, compassion, love. What does any of that mean, bro?
And I hope that we can all progress towards that state of being as soon as possible. And, my heart goes to all the black families and black business owners and just communities that have endured so much during so long. And I hope that this can be the start of...
If we're all brothers and sisters, what about all those white business owners who have had their businesses destroyed, right?
Us all overcoming that long-lasting stage. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And if
So just a whole bunch of...
you want to see my...
fluff, right? Just a whole bunch of rhetoric and no real solutions. Nothing. Just perpetuating the same problem by basically saying change your consumerist habits. He didn't say this explicitly, but that's what I'm getting from this, right? Buy stuff that comes with the green label. Just supporting the Marxist green revolution. Standing in a green field, empty lot with nothing there. Right? All this space, all these resources to plant whatever the hell you want. See, you don't change the world by consuming, okay? You change the world by producing. Now, he suggested, sacrificing your wealth for some of these people. No. That's not the solution. The solution is to produce the wealth instead of stealing it, bro. Because what's the point of you making money off these Chinese slaves, right? And then giving them some of that money back. And every time there's a transaction, the man is skimming off the top, taxing all of that, right? Instead of doing that, why don't you produce food? Instead of buying the food from somebody else, produce it yourself, right? Buying all this junk that's shipped in from China, that's destroying the environment, that those people aren't getting enough money for the effort that they put into producing, that all these costs are tagged onto because of transportation and all that other stuff, right? And creating all this economy, propping up the evil dollar, this evil exploitative economy, right? Engaging in consumerism, just making the wheels on the bus go round and round and round. Instead of that, why don't you take out the middleman, right? Take out the dollar out of this equation, at least as much as possible, and use all that empty space behind you to grow some food. Even if it doesn't belong to you, so what? You can't seed bomb the place and benefit? No, that would be too much work, okay? John is not about that work. John will waste his energy on picking stuff up and putting it down for no other reason than to look good and feel good about himself. This is the tragedy of, this woke mofo. Give me a break, man. Give me a break. I will say this much. You're on the right track, John, but it's all rhetoric. You're not actually doing anything. Okay? So if you truly care, get to work. Do some valuable work, because all you've done up until this point is destroy people's health by making them buy overpriced shit from China that they don't need anyway. That's full of chemicals and just nonsense, supporting huge corporations that are exploiting everybody. That's all you've done so far. On top of that, destroying their health. So a whole bunch of lofty and pretty words is not going to reverse any of that, okay? Thanks for watching.